am LaMarsha Lewis. Let's talk. Hello and welcome to I am LaMarsha Lewis. Let's talk YouTube channel. Let's talk. I wanted to do commentary to talk about. I had said that I wasn't gonna talk on this topic anymore. Just basically let it go. And as they say, you don't want to continue to be the dead horse. But I'm gonna do one more conversation, one more commentary, and it's talking about Trump and the insurrection that took place January the 6th, 2021 at our nation's capital. The reason why I wanted to do one more commentary is because I just had an enlightenment today, and also as I watched today's episode of The View, something Joy Bahar said that also kind of did an aha moment, and the light went off again. These Republicans are refusing to hold Donald J. Trump accountable. One, because they're thinking of themselves. They're looking out for themselves. They're scared. They're scared that they're going to lose their careers. And whether they know it or not, they're going to be held accountable just as well, because many of them played a role also. In fact, they playing a role now because they have a responsibility and an obligation to we the American people and to our Constitution. They took an oath. They took their oath 3 days before this insurrection took place at the nation's capital, at our nation's capital. So therefore, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation. Because they said that they were going to defend our United States Constitution against foreign and domestic. And again, the enemy was that of our own at the time, 45th President Donald J. Trump. And as I stated in a commentary on yesterday, Rand Paul, the United States Senator from Kentucky, actually put a motion on the floor, and it was carried out and voted on. He tried to basically withdraw, tried to not even have a Senate trial for the insurrection, which Trump was impeached by the House for the second time. The only president of the United States history to ever be impeached twice. And this is for the role that he played with the incitement of the insurrection, again, that took place at our nation's capital January the 6th, 2021. He is the main source. There has been allegedly, I have to use the term allegedly, where there has been reports where there's emails out there from where he was planning this months on, weeks on. We have the video of the same day, January the 6th, where he was out there with his attorney, Rudy Giuliani. His son, Donald Jr. spoke. Eric Trump and his wife spoke. We saw Don Jr.'s girlfriend, Kim, doing her little dance. We saw how Trump and Ivanka was standing there watching the insurrection. It has been stated and reported by his niece, Mary Trump, that he loved every minute. And we know it took some time for him to even come out. After, basically, at that point in time is when it was then President-elect Biden told him he needed to come out. He needed to come out publicly and denounce this. And then he released the video, but he didn't denounce it. He gave praise to him. He said that we love you. You are very special, but you got to go home. I know how you feel. The election was stolen. He never denounced it, but he did come out with that video. Then after that, he came out because, again, of, I guess, his advisors, after they saw what really played out, and then people died. 5 people died. He came out, supposedly somewhat of his conceding speech, but still continued to, with the same dialogue, with the same conspiracy, the lie the election was stolen, that we didn't have a free and fair election, which there is no results to support that. But that was the conspiracy that he had set in the atmosphere. Even before the election, he had said, well, if he didn't win, the election is rigged. That was the conspiracy that he had plotted and he put out. Just like he carried out this insurrection that took place at our nation's capital. But for the simple fact, it was a 55 to 45 vote. 45 Republicans voted not to hold him accountable, voted with that Rand Paul motion to not have a Senate trial. The Republican Party. 5 Republicans voted to do the right thing, to hold him accountable, to have the trial. That's Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, and Pat Toomey. 5 people, 2 women and 3 men of the Republican senators voted to hold him accountable. Mitch McConnell, who's now the minority leader of the Senate, voted with the other 44 Republicans to not. It was Mitch McConnell that refused to bring back the Senate when the House, Madam Nancy Pelosi, was trying to take care of the matter before Trump left office. But the Republicans, then the talking point was, well, we got the inauguration coming up. This would be damage to Biden Harris. They don't care about Biden Harris. They have spent months being enablers to that lie that the election was rigged. Many of them wouldn't even congratulate when calling President-elect Biden. They didn't care. They gave the green light to Trump. That's why he's done all these criminal things and unconstitutional things that he's done. No one has held him accountable. But again, an insurrection took place, a breach to the nation's capital, something that had not taken place since 1814. Since 1814, and this was 2021. 5 people died. A policeman died. The videos are out there of those white supremacist domestic terrorists breaking windows, forcing themselves in. But then we also see where many policemen moved barricades and allowed them to just go, taking selfies with them. This is not something that can be, as I continue to say, you can't pretend it didn't happen. You can't wash it away. You can't sweep it under the rug. You must acknowledge it, and it must be dealt with, and accountability is due. Accountability is due. The man incited an insurrection, and he's the only United States president to be impeached twice. Twice. And if Mitch McConnell would have called the Senate back then, but now I wonder, what's the plot? Okay, well, we're going to let him just walk away from this, just like any other president on January the 20th, when it's the end of the term for that president. We're just going to let him walk out freely as if he hasn't done anything when he incited an insurrection. And now, according to Rand Paul, what his motion was, is unconstitutional to indict or to have a trial for a president that's no longer in office. That's been debunked. But again, they had no plan to hold this man accountable. And then they want to talk about unity. How can there be unity when there's no accountability? It does not add up. It doesn't make sense. But then the Republicans continue to show they don't give an ounce about unity. You had Nikki Haley on Fox News talking about where she don't see where there's a reason. Marco Rubio called it stupid. Again, Rand Paul tried to even block having a trial. Mitch McConnell was in agreement. And of course, we know Uncle Lindsey Graham, he still is an advocate for Trump, although the same day, January the 6th, when he said enough is enough, count him out. But the very next week, he went to Texas with Trump after the insurrection. And now he's been on various social news outlets defending Trump and saying that he don't think anything should be done. It's been reported allegedly that the new representative Lauren Boebert from Colorado, it's been said that she was having a tour with some people days before the insurrection. So as this continued to unfold, as I have said in previous commentary, we're going to find out just who all really was involved with this insurrection other than Donald J. Trump. And I really believe there's going to be a lot of men and women from the United States Congress. Because we have videos where those people were saying Ted Cruz would be pleased, and so would Josh Hawley. And like I said, it's been reported that Lauren Boebert was doing a tour. And of course, these are alleged. I have to use the term allegedly, but that is what has been reported. But we did hear, my ears heard, and if you listen to some of those videos as well, where those men said Ted Cruz would be pleased, and so would Josh Hawley. And we also had that very famous picture of Josh Hawley with his fist up in solidarity right before the siege actually took place. And it's been pictures out there with some congressmen and women taking pictures with those domestic terrorists. But you want us to forget about it. I want to play a clip. Because like I said, it was Joy Bahar today. Something she said that really spoke out. And also I'm going to play a clip from MSNBC from Joe Scarborough that spoke out about the matter. That is why I chose to give one more time of doing commentary about this. But let me find what Joy said. Okay, this is Joy.
Well, just to speak to this Nikki Haley, she changed her tune because originally she was against Trump a little bit, but now she's like, give Trump a break, as if he's the victim, not the dead cop at the Capitol. Suddenly Trump is poor little baby. Give me a break. But this whole thing is annoying me. Number one, why are these Republicans saying that probably they will not convict when they haven't seen the evidence? I saw the 12 Angry Men movie. Have you seen that? I saw Law and Order many times. First you supply the evidence, and then you decide if somebody's guilty or innocent. Number two, I've never seen such cowardly behavior in grown-up men in my entire life. You have frontline workers in this country risking their lives every day at their job. And these chickens, Rand Paul and Ron Johnson and Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, and I can just go on with these people, they are scared to lose their jobs. Scared. I think, you know what, Sonny, you can put them in your chicken coop because they're chicken. What they're defending, they're saying that it's okay for people to storm the Capitol with guns and explosives and handcuffs. These are, by the way, whenever they talk about Trump supporters, like this hillbilly elegy thing that goes on, like they're all pathetic and poor. They're not. A lot of these people had a lot of money. Obviously, they had to get a hotel room that night, didn't they? They had to get transportation to get there. Not to mention the costumes they had to pay for and the explosives. So let's not feel sorry for those people, okay? So the Law and Order Party is now the party of let's support the seditionists and the insurrectionists. That is the Republican Party right now.
And George said that so eloquently and true. The Republican Party now, which is supposed to be the party of law and order, is being the party of the sedition and insurrection, not being willing to hold these people accountable, along with the person who incited it, Donald J. Trump. And like she said, how did they get there? What hotel? How did they hotel accommodation? And I was also input this. It was reported on social media that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas' wife bussed some of these white supremacist domestic terrorists into be there for this insurrection that took place. I don't know whether that is true or not. That is allegedly, but that is what has been reported and is out there on social media. And then, like she said, Nikki Haley. How are you gonna just act like this didn't happen and not want to do what is right and hold accountability? And again, like I said, as this continues to unfold and more evidence other than what we have seen and witnessed from our eyes, from the visuals that we've seen, and if you like me, what you have read, the research, a lot more is going to come out. And I'm really afraid that many of the men and women that are congressmen and women going to also play a role. Now let's listen to, again, this is from MSNBC, and this is Joe Scarborough, and he was speaking truth into what he was saying.
So let's listen. What if Ted Cruz just said after 9/11, you know what? Let's just pretend it's going to go away. Let's just forget about it. 9/11, would Ron Jones say, let's just forget about it? Yeah, they attacked the Pentagon. Yeah, let's just forget about it. That's what Lindsay wants us to do. He wants us to forget about the fact that people were bludgeoned in the head with an American flag because of Donald Trump. He wants us to forget that a cop was beaten to death. And the reason why the cop killer beat the cop to death was because they were inspired by Donald Trump to do so. Ted Cruz wants us to forget because he led the sedition along with Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. Forget? You're out of your mind and you're not a conservative. That's how conservatives do not talk. We don't forget. If you attack our country, we go after you. We jail you. We throw away the key. You come after our capital? And you think, Ron, it's simply vindictive? To see justice for the leader of the insurrection, Marco? You hide behind procedural safeguards. This is a procedure. We can't go after him. It's a No. Find a constitutional lawyer that supports justice and quote that judge, that justice. This is what the Republicans in the Senate want you to forget. This is what Rand Paul wants you to forget. This is what Ted Cruz wants you to forget. This is what Ron Johnson wants you to forget. And I say, never forget. Just like I said after 9/11, never forget that the Islamic terrorists came to our country and attacked us. And you know what? I said we needed to call them Islamic terrorists. You know why? Because they were Islamic terrorists. You know what these people are? These are Trump terrorists. Call them by their name. Reverend Al, can I get a witness?
You'd certainly have a witness, I think.
What if
that was amazing. He just told it like it was for what it was. And as he said, never forget. Never forget. And I totally agree to everything he said. Call them by name. He said, these are Trump terrorists. Call them by name. And we don't forget, and you hold them accountable. But see, the Republicans are refusing to do that. And they know it's wrong. But these are, and what makes it sad, even more sadder to me and hurts, these are the men and women that are elected to be the representation for we, the American people. They are the men and women that are congressmen and women, whether they're in the House of Representatives or whether they are actually United States senators. And as we know, we have 50 states with 2 senators from each state to be our representation. And this is what we got. Open and bolded racism in men and women that don't have backs, they're spineless, They are cowards. And they only care about themselves. And they have that open agenda to be racist. That's what at the core of this. And that's what they are concerned about. Power and racism, holding the people like myself, African Americans. They don't want immigrants to be able to come in here to this country to be able to have a better life. They want it to be all about them. Them, white people in control and sticking to the narrative, sticking to the agenda of the powerful. And as Joy pointed out in what she said, it's often been saying, well, Trump supporters are poor people, they're uneducated, hillbillies. Let's know, not everyone is that. Yes, you do got a lot of them out there, the hillbilly type, the uneducated, the poor. But you also, as she pointed out, you got rich people. Because look at those senators for one. And then his backers and things of that perspective. So not everybody is the uneducated. Many of them are the rich. But it goes back again to the white man's burden. Research it, read it. I said that in previous commentary. This is where we are in America. And this is America. And like he said, what happened in 9/11, we weren't to forget that. We still remember that. And we will forever remember this insurrection, January the 6th, 2021. Like when Senator, and now the majority leader, Chuck Schumer, spoke that same day later on, once they had reconvened to go ahead and certify the electors. He had said, talked about December the 7th, the day of infamy that President Franklin D. Roosevelt has stated, day of infamy. He said, now sadly and unfortunately, we have to add January the 6th, 2021. That is where we are, and these freaking Republicans really are choosing to say Donald J. Trump shouldn't be convicted, and then had the audacity to talk about unity. That is what breaks my heart. That is what saddens. I'm not new to it. I'm not new to the knowledge of racism and how these people operate, that they only really care about themselves. But after this, as he said, our nation's capital, a breach, a sedition, an insurrection, all at the incitement, the direction of Donald J. Trump. And they know it. This has been recorded in our United States of America history. The history books are noted. And if these men and women continue not to show character, as I have said in previous commentary, you can't buy character, regardless of how rich you are. And if they continue to intentionally, willfully turn a blind eye to the truth, woe unto you. And if those 45 who voted yesterday are already showing us that is your intent, and it's intentional, it's willfully because you know the truth, but you're still refusing to do the right thing, woe unto you. The history books is recorded. Your names will be remembered by many of us, not by that base that is in cahoots with you, but to all of the rest of us. And most important, God knows it all. He knows the heart of us all. And you're not getting away. You might get away here on earth. You may not hold him accountable. You might not do the right thing, but woe unto you. You're trying to save yourselves as well as be that lawyers to your white supremacist in chief, because you gotta call it for what it is. Gotta call him for what he is. And you know this. That's the part you know. You're willfully doing the wrong thing. You're willfully being an accomplice to an insurrection. You're willfully being an accomplice to the wrong things. Things that are unconstitutional when you took an oath. Again, January the 3rd, in pairs of two, you walked down the aisle, you carried your Bible. When they said raise your right hand, you raised your right hand with the left hand on the Bible. And now you can actually, just like you went in there January the 6th when you reconvened, those 10 that still chose to say that the election was a fraud, and you tried to overturn the will of we the American people, and then you 45 that just voted yesterday, still knowing all this is a lie, that the election was stolen, and not willing to hold this man accountable for the insurrection at our nation's capital, your nation's capital, where you were. The nation capital that represents we the American people of these United States. You're still willfully and intentionally willing to stand with someone of Donald J. Trump's caliber? I feel sorry for you. I do. I feel sorry for you. But God, He knows. Be ye not deceived, for God is not mocked. He knows. This Senate trial is to take place February the 9th, as it has been reported. That is on about 2 Tuesdays away from here. Not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. You were there where they were chanting, kill Mike Pence. The videos, those horrific, violent videos are there where we saw a police officer being beaten with the United States flag. But yet you still willfully, that's the issue, willfully and intentionally choosing not to hold Donald J. Trump accountable. When you saw the blood, and guess what, that blood, if you don't do the right thing, the blood that is on Donald J. Trump's hand, the blood that is on our nation because of the incitement that Donald J. Trump gave for this insurrection, it's on your hands. And obviously each and every one of you sleep at night. You've just turned your soul to the devil. You sold out for what this here on earth, just like Judas. Here's what, for pieces of silver, 6 pieces, sold his soul and gave Jesus the one whom I kiss. And here you are, all our congressmen and women that each state has voted, although I'm not a Republican, but I have to, my state has 2 Republican senators. That's the representation for Mississippi. But let's not get this twisted. They don't represent me. They don't represent all of Mississippi. They represent the people that are like them, the racist people. After all, the woman, Cindy Hyde-Smith, has publicly said that she would sit front row at a public hanging and has yet to this day ever apologize. So therefore, she has shown me that that's who she is. She showed me that's who she is when she went willfully and voted to overturn the will of the American people, knowing that there was no merit to those votes. Donald J. Trump being the president nominee for 2020. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with. People like that. And I guess all of you sleep at night. I guess you continue to check your bank accounts. Check out where you're going to get another book deal. some advertisement and all these under the table and dirty little secrets that you have. But how can you really continue to support this? An insurrection to our nation's capital. 5 people lost their lives. And you're supposed to be so conservative. Law and order. Family values. Care about policemen. But yet you watched a policeman be beat to death with an American flag. But yet and still you're okay with Donald J. Trump getting a pass. Woe unto you. But this is America. This is America. I'm LaMarsha Lewis. Let's talk.